Okay, it's back. So with the Western powers coming to China, we also have the growth of industrialization, which is manufacturing. Now, China had manufacturing for a long time during its golden age and stuff. It created goods and sold goods across the world, right? But now we have Western powers coming in to bring their manufacturing. So we have silk, of course, always there. Metals, wood products, porcelain, cotton, and tobacco, all things sought after by Western powers during the age of exploration. But trade remained under state control. Now, if we're going to make a crazy comparison, that could be an example of an exam that you would have. Talk about powers of the age of exploration and which powers were more successful and which powers were not, depending on who controlled their economy, right? Spain was a government-controlled economy. China was a government-controlled economy, right? Were they successful? Maybe for a while, but not after a while, right? And then we look at the Dutch and the English. The Dutch and the English were privately owned economies. And so with those economies, maybe they're more successful. We see a pattern there, right? So see those patterns. All right, so there's a growing technological gap between China and the West. Example of that, Matteo Ricci's clock. So this is the big thing. Matteo Ricci brings his clock, and the Chinese scholars had never seen anything like that before. But where did the clock originate? In China, right? The first clocks were created in China. They go to Europe, and China isolates itself. Europe improves the clock and brings it back, and now the Chinese are behind. Okay, there's Matteo Ricci, right? And that is his clock. Yes. So there you have that. Daily life, again, Chinese society is heavily based on family, the Confucianist idea of the patriarchal family, of male being the head of the family. That still goes, that's still true. It was also during this period of time that you have the idea of foot binding. It's the practice that with little girls, they would break the arch of their foot. It's usually gradually, and they would wrap the foot really tight and make them wear that all day long. And eventually the foot would grow in a deformed way, and eventually it would curl up. And there are some nasty pictures on the internet. I'm not going to show you. You can look it up yourself. But we would break the arch, and they called it lilyfoot. The Chinese translation of the word is lilyfoot. And it was supposed to be beautiful. But what it did was eventually cripple the women, so they couldn't walk. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, the idea in China is that these were wealthy women. The peasant women, the poor women, they didn't do this. It was only the wealthy women that did this, and the wealthy women couldn't walk, they couldn't work, and therefore they were pampered, right? And so it was kind of, in a crude way, you could say it's kind of like a trophy wife. Look at my wife. Look at her dainty little feet. She obviously cannot work or walk because we carry her everywhere. She's like a little doll. And so that became the mark of class and society during this period of time, right? Okay. So we have art and culture during this period of time. One great work of art that we see is literature, The Dream of the Red Chamber. Art, of course, is influenced by the West. We looked at the art of the Jesuits there as well. And then the Forbidden City is a great work of art unto itself. It's a functional piece of art because it's a palace, but its amazing architecture and landscaping is still around today and is still a major tourist attraction. So looking at the Imperial City, you have pictures here in Beijing of the Imperial City, and then also here you have a model of it to show how large it was and this. But here's the problem with the Imperial City, and this is going to lead to the decline of the Qing. It was a city in a city. And so the emperor would go there and the emperor would stay there and would never come out and you would never see him. And the scholars and the gentry were left to run the country and they ran it any way they wanted, corrupt and bribes and you name it, they did it, right? And so this corruption and this detachment of the emperor from society would eventually lead to the fall of the Qing, in addition to Western influence, right? And so not being able to know your people and govern your people in an effective way leads to your decline, and that's what's going to happen to the Qing. So that's the basic of what you need to know about China up to this point. It doesn't even finish the chapter. There's still unification of Japan, which we'll talk about after the test. But know this stuff, and you'll be good.